Dietz's mom weighed in the comment section. And of course, we pinned that right at the top. And she was like, thank you so much for doing this. You know, I'm not speaking bad of him. I'm just saying what Dietz's mom said. Like, he's always treated us poorly. She's questioned his story. Like, gotta go to the very top, and you see Dietz's mom weighed in, and it says something. How can you think? Yeah. You can't run away from them and treat their family bad.
I was hoping, as I was listening to the Ruby Ridge podcast the other day, I was like, man, I think I saw FRCC last year at TTPA. Yeah. Y'all were up here, right?
Yeah, we sure were. Yeah.
And now that you say that, and I walked by the booth earlier, I was like,
that's right, because we're in the same spot. We're basically in the same spot.
Yeah. So I was like, I wonder if they're going to be up here. And then I saw one of your dudes downstairs. I was like, I'm in. I don't think he's probably too busy. He's a big podcast guy now. He's probably too busy to be here. Yeah. And then, like I told you, when I was looking around for you, I was like, I'm looking for him. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, he's shorter than I thought he was.
Yeah. Like, he tells that story like I'm 5'4". You know what I mean?
He's 6 foot. He's a good.
I'm not saying I'm going to the NBA where I should have, but I feel like it's unfair.
I had a great time talking with you downstairs. We were talking coffee, we were talking shop, we were talking podcasts, and I was like, hey, dude, you want to get on? And he's like, you have a podcast? I was like, yeah, we have a podcast. Yeah. And I appreciate you coming up, taking time out of your day to sit down and talk with us.
Yeah, to be honest with you, this is you talk about he's probably too big because of his podcast. At the end of the day, FRCC is my baby. Like, that's my main goal. Like, I'll always invest as much as I can of my time in that, because it's my most rewarding thing. So I'm able to give back and do exactly what I said I was going to do with it. But it drives Tyler, my co-host of the Antihero Podcast, crazy. 'Cause sometimes, since it takes so much of my time and energy away, and really the podcast is my secondary thing.
Yeah.
But it got so big, you would think it's my primary thing, but it's not. And so Tyler's like, hey, we're still good for tomorrow, right? I'm like, oh, I'm at a convention in Texas tomorrow, or whatever it is. Like, I drive him crazy with the reschedules. Yeah. So I apologize to my co-host Tyler, but if there's an event, I try to beat every one of them.
Nice.
I love FRCC and that mission.
We've been binge watching all the episodes.
Yeah, the entire warehouse crew is just like,
you go to different parts of the warehouse and it's like somebody else is listening to a different part or a different episode.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. One of my concerns, I told this to my co-host Tyler. I was like, man, we've had some bangers. Like, some of our episodes have been really good. Like the Rob O'Neill one, that was a good one. The Ruby Ridge and Waco were good ones, but at the end of the day, like, there's only so many stories. And I'm like, are we going to run out of stories? And he's like, nah, we're not going to run out of stories. And like, we had to sit there, and I was like, I don't know. And we had to sit there for like 30 minutes. And then, we came up with like almost a list of 20. I'm like, all right, we're good for this year. We'll run out of stories next year. It concerns me. There's only so many stories you can tell.
And there's but then almost every story has got multiple points of view, right? So you get other people in, and other guests. We've had the same guest on multiple times, or combine those guests with, this guy was on this podcast and this guy was on this one. Let's put them together and see what they talk about.
That's a good point, because when we did the Marcus Luttrell podcast, and again, like, some of these podcasts are like I can't believe that moments for law enforcement or civilians, but in the special operations community, like these are well known. Like this isn't the truth. So to me, it's always weird to see people in the comment section be like fight it. Like, we've all known this.
Haven't people in that community have known that for a long.
That's right.
time.
Yeah. I'm not telling a secret.
Hard in the paint.
Right. Yeah. And so Gulob, Marcus Luttrell's, the guy who saved Marcus Luttrell, which is a true part of that story, reached out to us. In fact, his best friend, who speaks English, had his best friend reach out to us and was like, hey, there's so much more to that story, and about how he tried to block me from getting my U.S. citizenship, and all I wanted was to be his friend. I thought we were cool, and I didn't understand for a long time what was going on. Let me tell you who on the not so much of a supporter Marcus Luttrell is, which goes to the story being not true. Gulab, the guy who saved him, and so we'll probably do a follow-up podcast with that guy.
Wow. That's great.
So yeah, that's crazy.
I think you guys said in one of your podcasts that like stories happen every day. Like new stories are made every day.
It's unfortunately true. You're absolutely right. Like and especially in this world, like in this crazy world, and in the first responder community, like this crazy world that's affected first responders so much. I hate this story. I just got confused in a way, because we were talking about an officer getting shot in Texas when there was another officer that had gotten shot within a 24-hour time period, and we're just talking within the last 48 hours. And we had miscommunicated because so many cops have been shot in Texas in the last 48 hours. Two is too many. Like that's what's going on. Like there were days where I was in combat where not everyone got shot every day. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's especially with being military and first responder focused. And let's call it for what it is. When we say first responder focused, we are law enforcement heavy. Like those guys are the one taking the brunt of the first responder burden, by getting shot in their cars, by being shot.
Everyone likes firemen for the most part.
They do. Those guys don't need a lot of support.
You don't see a fireman and say, "Hey, fuck those guys."
Every once in a while. Every once in a while.
Unless if your house burns down, and
they got plenty of support.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So if you've already been here for a minute, let's roll the intro and introduce our guest.
So, anyways, welcome to the Big Tex Ordnance Podcast. I guess you probably already knew that if you're listening, but I'm Ike. We have Chris, Ian, and then Brent from FRCC, and then also as we just recently learned, the Antihero Podcast, which is actually like the secondary thing that he does.
Yeah. Secondary. It's not his primary gig.
So FRCC is the focus. Well, we're here at TTPOA day one. But so FRCC, kind of give us a little bit of backstory on that and what made you start that and kind of what that's all about.
Yeah. So
we'll move on to the rest of the story.
So I'm not a first responder, which is for people who don't know our story, they assume I am or whatever. And so I put 20 years in the Army. The first half I was a Green Beret, and the second half I was in the Delta Force. So in 21, from 01 to 21, when I retired, I had to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, because all I did was play in combat for 20 years, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I probably had the best job at the best time, and but that ride only lasts for so long, and when it's over, it's over. And I kind of fell into the gig of training SWAT teams. I had another Delta Force friend of mine call me up and say, "Hey, I got a class that's too big." In fact, it was down in Orlando, back in my what is now my backyard, and says, "Hey, can you come down here and train these guys? They want a night vision class." And I said, "Sure. Like, what's it pay?" And he goes, "Oh no, man, we're just going down there for free and just gonna give them the training." And I was like, "Sure. Yeah, I got nothing to do. Let's go." And then like that went so well, like they told someone else, and then they told someone else, and there's it's like, and I couldn't tell people no. And I was like, "Yeah, like you want free training? Like I'll see if I can fit you in my schedule." And so I was doing all this free training, and at some point, I always wanted to start a business, be an entrepreneur, and so that's where I saw the need, and I saw just really good dudes who were going after bad guys. They were the guys your community called on their worst night, and I didn't think they had enough support or the resources that they deserved to do their job. And so that was the origin story of FRCC. I started the coffee company and then the cigar company, where parts of all of our sales go back to support first responders. And last year being our first year in our first full year in business, we gave back $25,000.
Oh, wow.
which, there's other companies that give back a lot more.
Well, $25,000 is not a small check.
From a guy who hasn't taken a paycheck yet, not a paycheck. In fact, there were months I had to put in money to keep it going.
Yeah.
So to be giving, it almost seems insane to give checks when you're not even in the black yourself. Like, you're still in the red. But that was, like I said, we didn't say parts of our profits. We said parts of our sales. And so that's what we did.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I had to keep contracting a little bit to keep everything afloat. But yeah, there's the FRCC story. And then we brought in, and real quick, we did coffee first for like almost 12 months. And we're like, hey, now we're kind of becoming known as those guys. Like, hey, if you reach out to them, they might, they might cut you a check, or they might help you out. And we just got more of those requests than we could possibly handle. And so we were like, hey, maybe we can start like another coffee bag or a new line, like something to generate more sales. Like, I don't know, we have like another coffee bag isn't going to get us to where we need to be. And so we just, as a group, we had this idea of, hey, we don't have to change the name. FRCC, First Responder Cigar Company. Yeah. Like, we love cigars. Let's start a cigar company. And I was like, I love the idea, but it's fresh in my mind how hard it was to start a coffee company. And I'm like, I don't know if I got time to start another company and a whole nother process of where we're going to get the cigars, where we're going to get the packaging, all that. But we ended up doing it. So glad we did. The cigars are crushing it, and we would not be able to give what we give without the cigars.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So we're going to rewind that story, because you skipped over a lot of you skipped over like 20 years in like 2 sentences.
Yeah, that was like
because I was going out to Symposium the morning I listened to your how you joined the Army story.
Yeah.
Hit that up if you want to.
Yeah.
About that, because I think it's funny to some extent how you're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do this, and then you're like, wait a second, this is not what I wanted.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, on September 10th, 2001, if you'd have come up to me like, hey, what are you doing the rest of your life? I'm like, man, I'm working a feed store. My family has Tucker's Farm and Garden Center, and I'm just going to carry out bags of feed and bales of hay the rest of my life. Small town, USA, Florida, family business of 30 years. This is just what I do. And I was happy with it. Like, that's what I wanted to do. The next day, everything changed. Knew nothing about the military. My dad wanted to join, but he had bad eyesight. He wanted to be a pilot really bad. He had bad eyesight. So we went to a bunch of air shows. So I knew a lot about jets, but I knew nothing about the Army. And when September 11th happened, it would have been difficult at the time to say this, but it's easier to say it now because of what I did. But like, I wanted to shoot someone in the face. I know that sounds weird. It is a little weird, but you watch 2,000 Americans die. Like, you want someone to feel
some blood.
That's right. You want someone to feel that pain, and take, get some retribution. That's just, I don't think it's that, weird of a thought. So I want to join the Army. And, so I knew nothing about it. I show up to the recruiter and he's like, got the job for you. Air Defense Artillery. That's what you want. National Guard, Air Defense Artillery.
I'm going to shoot somebody in the face with a missile.
That's right. I know. Taliban has no helicopters. Taliban has no fighters. Like, it's
at the time. Thank you,
Joe Biden. We gave him some later. So it was. But in the day, as a naive young American young man, I was like, hey, well, if this is what my country needs me to do, this is what I'm doing. And I was so happy to do it, to be honest with you. And of course, what's the irony of it is what's happening right now, like air defense artillery, like they're in Iraq.
Very useful job right now.
That's right. Very useful job right now. So if I'd have played the long game, I'd still be in the game. But at the time, it was that was not a needed MOS, and I got to say it in a spot, like I don't want to offend any air defenders out there. Like I'm not saying you're like your job is not worthy or useless. It just wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't going to fit my intent. So it wasn't too long that this young man figures out, oh, hold on. And some guys were coming back from Afghanistan by the time I got to my unit, and I was like, man, how was it? Like, this is all the reason why I signed up. Like, I wanted to ask him, how's Afghanistan? I was like, what'd you do? And like, what, bro, what do you think we did? Like, we
shot dudes in the face.
Like, we don't have a job for air defense. Like, we guarded gates. And I could like almost feel like they had a long deployment. You know, no one wants to go guard gates, you know? And I was like, damn, my worst fears were true. And so I was like, well, who was out there? Like, who was getting it? Then, you know, now I have some inside information to tell me where I need to go. And they're like, oh man, these Green Berets, like these SF teams were out there. They'd come back from the outside the wire, covered in blood, and we had protocols. We'd be like, hey, I need your ID, and they'd be like, F you, buddy, open up the gate. You know, my beard's my ID. Just these off the wall stories I'm pretty sure aren't true, to be honest with you. But they were great stories to hear. And as a young guy, I was like, those guys kind of sounded like dicks, but I kind of wanted to be one of those guys. like I don't know. Like, I love that swagger, and I wanted to be a part of it. And so I was. I heard that story, and I said, that's what I want to be. And I told Air Defense, hey, I want to go be a Green Beret. And you got to think, as like a young man who's done nothing. I'm still a private. They're like, yeah, buddy. I'm sure you do. We all want to be Green Berets. And they fought me. They didn't want me to go to selection, which was one of the best things that could have happened to me, because I went to selection. Like, that was the fire like I used. I was like, there's no way I'm going back to those guys to tell them that they were right and they failed. And if I even remembered their names, I'd go back and thank them, because one of the reasons I became a Green Beret is because I hated them and their naysaying ways. So yeah, that's how I became a Green Beret.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So I joined in 2000. Nothing going on.
Yeah.
Nothing. George Bush was sworn in like 3 weeks after I went to basic training, and I originally signed up as a cook.
Okay.
And I can remember my recruiter. Talked. It's like, man, I don't think you're really going like this, because you're a country boy from Arkansas, and you run and you do this and you like guns, and I don't think you're going to be happy about it.
You're going to cook a bunch of scrambled eggs.
Yes. And I realized really fast that was not the job for me.
Okay.
And in 2004, OIF2, they were taking volunteers, and like, we're putting together a platoon, and you're going to do patrols every day. Okay. I'm like, I'm on that. I'll do it. And I re-enlisted and changed my MOS to infantry that tour. And it's like you said on one of your podcasts, like, once you get that first taste, you either hate it,
that's right,
that's all you want.
Yeah, and that was a podcast with Bob Keller, and it's absolutely true. Like, the guys who get a taste of combat, whether they wanted it or not. There's some people who never like are those guys who are like beating their chest, like, I want to get out there and do it. Sometimes, but some of those guys are. And it doesn't matter if you're a guy. Sometimes you find out the guys who didn't beat their chests, and they're like, weren't sure what it was going to turn into. Those guys get a taste of combat, and they're like, you know what? I kind of love that. Like, I want more. And those guys who beat their chests, there's plenty of them that were like, you have to remind them, maybe you were the guy you thought you were. Like, it brings out, it brings out the truth in people. But for those who enjoy it, it's, I don't think I've explained it like this in another podcast, but it's almost like a drug. Oh, yeah. Like, how do I get to my next firefight? Like, how do I get to my next deployment? It sounds weird, but one of the reasons I went to the Delta Force is because, like, combat operations were going away for SF. Like, they were pulling back from the front lines, and I was like, and I'm addicted to this thing that I'm like, no, you're going to take it away from me. Like, where can I still get my next dose from? And I'll walk 40 miles to do it.
You got any funny 40-mile walk stories?
I got one, and I hate it because it means if it's a funny story, it's it's just you. So
yeah.
So it's me that's me that messed up.
Yeah.
Wish I was cooler than this, but I'm not. so I get off the truck. Now I don't tell a whole lot of selection stories. I'm not going to tell too much about it. I'm just not. But it's no secret that you do some land nav and selection. So I'm doing land nav. I just start. I'm super excited to be to what I believe is the end of it. And I'm moving out. I'm like, oh yeah. Like it doesn't, like, this is going to suck, but it's going to be over eventually. Let's go. I'm not more than 30 seconds into this thing and I trip. And when I say I trip, I mean, I don't know if you've ever tripped so hard that your hands immediately fly out in front of you because you know you're just going to smack. And so I do that. I yard sale. I have this dummy weapon with me. I throw it to the side. I have a map in the other hand. I throw it to the side. My ruck that's on my back, and when I hit the ground quickly, it punches the frame, punches me in the back of the head, and I'm woozy. I'm like, what?
Oh no.
What just happened? And then ironically enough, instead of being concerned about maybe being hurt or where is everything, I immediately looked back at my start point and I go, yeah, did hopefully the guy who just pushed me out here, sit me out, didn't hear this or see this, Oh yeah. And I made the biggest grunt when I hit the ground. And I'm like, all right, I brush myself off. I go I get my gun. I'm like, all right, that's like we got it out of the way. Like, but now I'm already behind. I'm already behind schedule. We just started and I start booking it double time. And it takes me a second to realize, wait a minute, I don't have my map.
Oh no. Oh no.
Something's going to need. Yeah. So luckily I was able to go back to where I fell because there's this massive divot in the ground.
You can see your crater.
Yeah.
So I get back to there, and now before I wasn't paying attention to the left and right of the road, but now I have to because I don't see my map, and I look up the right side of the road and it's a mountainside going up. When my heart sinks when I see that, because I know the other side of the road means there's a cliff going down, and I look and I see it, and it is a cliff, and I see it like 20 feet down, hanging on this little branch. And so I take my ruck off, and I'm like scaling down here to get my map. I get down there, but as I'm trying to climb back up, the little brushes that allowed me to go down aren't enough. Like, I'm pulling them out of their roots to get back up. Oh shit! And I'm like, am I gonna have to I didn't make it.
Help!
I didn't make it 5 minutes into I eventually start moving left, and I eventually find a way to get back up, and I eventually
You had to go back and get your ruck.
I had to go. I had to climb back up, get my ruck, and I'm like, all right, this has got to be the worst, right? It's all uphill from here. Luckily it was, but yeah, not the way you want to start your 40 miler.
How long had you been in the military at that point in time?
Just shy of 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2011-ish,
Yeah.
2012-ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, that actually would have been 2009. Cause when I got done, I actually got selected, went to OTC, screwed up, got kicked out, and said, hey, why don't you come back when you're older? And went back to my ODA and had one of my what really almost really sent me in a depression. Like, I almost had my dream job and I screwed it up. I go back to my ODA. I have the best deployment of my life, which to this date is probably one of my best deployments. And then I get a chance to go back. They call me an idiot and accept me back, and end up having a great career. So yeah, so selection was actually a little bit earlier, probably 2009, but I ended up going to the unit in 11.
Okay, cool.
What squadron were you in?
I was in one of the squadrons.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
One of those.
it was a good time. I don't know why they draw these lines of what's okay and what's not, but yeah, I was in one of those squadrons.
Yeah. One of the letter ones.
Yeah, I don't make the rules. I just try my best to abide by them.
Yeah.
And go from there.
I mean, it's cool. If you were in somewhere else, you could just write a whole book about it.
That's right.
You could just write books upon books about it. It's awesome.
Whether my story was right or not, I could just write a book about it.
So on you.
I
was going to say, on that note, the Antihero Podcast.
Yeah.
How did that come about? What made you want to start that?
Oh man, that actually might be the first time I've been asked that question. I'll tell you, I went and did. So FRCC is my baby, and we're struggling. We're coming out the gate weak, and on our first couple months, and I had no marketing budget. I had nothing, and I had overhead. Like, hey, we're going to run out of runway, and I have like payroll, like people that left jobs to come work for me, and and it's weighing heavy on me. So a couple people had asked me to do a podcast randomly, and they were very small podcasts. And so I went on and did a podcast, and I was like, well, at the end of it, I'll plug FRCC, and it'll be free marketing.
Right.
And those smaller podcasts led to bigger podcast, opportunities. And one of those smaller podcasts I did came on the radar of the Antihero Podcast, and I just get a random email that says, hey, I'm a local sheriff deputy. I know like you're very first responder focused. I have a podcast, I'm probably too small for you to come on, but if you're interested, the invite's there. And he's a first responder, Tyler.
Yeah.
And I wrote him back and said, I don't care how big you are. Of course I'll come on your show. And so I came on his show the first time. And it's funny, like looking back, like he would have like a couple hundred views on his podcast. I think my first podcast, just as a guest, it broke the 1,000 view mark, and he's like, nice. And he's like, hey, you're my biggest episode. I'm like, nice. And he asked me to come back for one more episode, and this is the genesis of everything. And in that episode, Tyler Hoover, who's the host and owner at the time of Antihero Podcast, there was another female guest and me. And towards the end of the episode, the only thing we talked about was first responders. And for the life of me, I have no idea why she did it, but she goes, hey, did Rob O'Neill kill bin Laden? And we'd been doing this podcast for like an hour, and you guys kind of know, like when you get 30 minutes into it, however, it just becomes a conversation. Yeah. It gets like the beginning jitters are out. Now we're just
talking.
Now we're just dudes talking. And so I answered her like in a very team room answer. I said, no, Rob O'Neill didn't kill bin Laden. And, and I went on this spiel. But then I even kind of walked it back a little bit and said, hey, Navy SEALs are great. They're not the problem. I wish they would police their own, but they're probably too professional to address it because, it's a crazy story. And then Tyler puts a short out that he knows what he's doing and puts Delta Force calls out Rob O'Neill. And I'm telling you, I didn't even know he did it. I don't watch my own podcast, so I don't see that he makes it. And I start getting these phone calls from like old teammates and people like, hey, saw what you said about Rob O'Neill. And because that was like 30 seconds of the whole podcast, I was like, what'd I say about Rob O'Neill? Like I forgot exactly what I said. So that thing goes viral. And there were a lot of comments like, hey, you can't just call a man a liar and not like prove it. And I was like, and there's a lot of comments like that. I was like, they're actually right. Like you just don't call a man a liar and then just like walk away.
You just drop that bomb and just
right. Yeah. As a decent man, you don't do that. And so I came back to Tyler. I said, hey, you know what? I actually want to do like an episode and lay out the reasons. And like, I can lay out this argument now I feel obligated to do it. So I do this 2-hour podcast of just laying all the cards on the table. Like Matt Bissonette wrote a book.
Yeah.
He was in the room.
Yeah.
He says the team did it. And Rob O'Neill says he was the only guy in the room. That's the rub. Like he was on the mission. He was the fourth guy to shoot bin Laden, but he wasn't the only guy and the sole person in the room. That's that's a dick thing to do. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, that's stolen valor. Like, you can't say, nope, just me, only me. Oh, was I the last man in the room? No, not only was I the first guy in the room, I was the only guy in the room. Like,
that's a pretty bold,
it's bold.
It's a bold move, Kyle. Let's see how that plays out.
Well, I'll tell you, it's played out pretty well for him for about the last, decade. Yeah. He goes shooting with Kid Rock. He makes $50,000 for speaking engagements, and but also has to live with himself. So, but he probably didn't think 10 years later a Delta Force guy would come out and call him out.
It's like, shit.
Yeah. Ooh, it almost worked out for me. And so that, of course, goes, even though it's 2 hours long, that goes viral. He comes to me and he goes, hey, like, you want to be a co-host on this podcast? And from there, we've done 20 or 30 podcasts since then, and it's just absolutely blown up. Like, we're probably, I can't think of another one to say. We're probably the largest first responder podcast in America. We're just about to break the top 100 in our category for iTunes and podcasts. Like, nice. It's pretty cool to see your podcast up there, like the Late Night Show and like these other like big names.
He's a copper in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I like to drill our podcast down to like very specific genre. And I'm like, we're in the top 10 of podcasts based in Conroe, Texas. Number fucking one, bro.
I'll tell you something a little bit humbling. So we are, I forget which late night show, but it's one of the top, like ABC, NBC, like we are above them. But you know who's above us? Is this like these girls, and it's called like Horrible Decisions, but it's spelled out WHORE. So if you look below you, you're like, oh yeah, we're kind of big time, and then you look above, you're like, what?
How the shit did they get up there?
We can't beat Horrible Decisions. No, we're not. A little bit of humble pie when you see who's beating you.
I think if I remember correctly, I realized I had like 17 Audible credits. So I hadn't downloaded a book in a year or something, like I had all this. I was like, you know what?
Good intentions.
I need to get back and do that, right? So like I started downloading, I listened to a couple, and then I listened to another one, and then my recommendation got Alone at Dawn, right?
Yeah.
That book. And so I listened to that, and I'm like, what the fuck? And started listening to that story. And then, so that led me to YouTube. And so now I'm at work with my headphones on.
Yeah.
Working away, but I'm listening to these podcasts like Team House and got on Team House. And you were on that.
I was on Team House. Yeah, they were great.
And listened to another one. And then, YouTube did its thing and suggested that short, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, hold on.
Right.
Who is this? And started listening, and then it came up in conversation at work. And
I think we were probably eating lunch, and
now like, all of them are listening to different parts of the episodes as they're packing or doing inventory.
Justin's over there receiving inventory, listening to them,
and then coming in my office mad.
I'm telling you, it'll make you mad. It'll make you mad.
It'll make you mad as shit. And Justin's like, if Justin's listening, which I don't think he listens to the podcast unless he's on it, but like he's not the guy that's got the best level of temperament, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he came in, like, what do you want to do, dude? Like, we can't do anything about it.
He was listening to the Latrell one. I was like, oh, hey, what part are you at? And he was like, oh, I'm early on. I was like, oh, wait till you get to this part. I was like, you're gonna get pissed.
Buckle up.
I was like, wait till you get to this. And then sure enough, like 30 minutes later, I walked by and he's like,
I get reminded every now and again in the comments about, and people love to send me, and Tyler loves to get me riled up. So Tyler send me a screenshot of comments, and right. And I don't get riled up, so he likes to see what it takes to get me riled up. And when every now and again when he gets me, he's like, "Yeah, I gotcha." So, one guy said, hey, you said you were never going to do the lone survivor story, and that's true. I did write back to someone in the comments like, "Hey, look in the lone survivor." So I'm not going to do that one. Now, even though at the time I knew the truth, the difference was with Rob O'Neill, like no one died, And so he just lied about it for his own personal gain. There's no one else's image to tarnish. So I didn't want to do that episode the way, when I said I wasn't going to do it, I wasn't going to do it the way I did the Rob O'Neill episode. It wasn't going to be just me talking about, something when to be honest, guys died.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel comfortable about that. But when Eric Demings reached out as a SEAL and said, hey, I think, I heard what you said about Rob O'Neill, and I heard that what you said about, the SEALs need to come out and kind of correct this as a community. That's the only way it's going to get corrected. I'm willing to do it. Now, it almost floored me. I was like, wow. Although many SEALs had contacted me since all of our, you want to call it anti-SEAL podcasts, because they're not. I'll say it here the way I said it there. I'm a big fan of Navy SEALs. They're great. They're a force to be reckoned with. Every SEAL I ever worked with were great dudes and lethal. So the people we're talking about are the minority of a great community. But when he was like, I'll come on your podcast and talk about Red Wings, I was like, a SEAL will come on and talk about, a SEAL mission? This is almost unheard of. They don't break ranks from the Brotherhood. And I was like, yeah, I'll give you a mic for that. And so that's actually how that came across. And even though we let another SEAL tell that story, how it is, but we still get branded, another anti-SEAL podcast. A SEAL told the story. We're not an anti-SEAL podcast.
Yeah. I think it's important, to have one of their own, basically, being the one to I
wouldn't have done it without him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't have done it without him.
That was super eye-opening.
Yeah. But don't worry. I'll leave you with a teaser. We found someone that's not a SEAL who's in our sights. And so hopefully that'll appease the SEAL community.
We had an interaction years ago. So the Lachelle's are local to us, right? Mm-hmm. Where we're at. And at our previous place of employment, we had an event that Marcus attended. Mm-hmm. And the rules for that, were you there for that? Do you remember? I don't know if you were there.
I think that was before. I think that was right before I started.
That they were only going to be on the private side of the range, which is very nice. It's a country club, right? It's a country. It's a country club.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Houses, cigars.
Yeah. Very nice. A country club, right?
Yeah.
Very nice. So they sell coffee too and have a coffee bar. So you never know. Yeah. Anyway,
let me know their name.
Yeah. Only the senior employees were allowed back there. And none of the junior employees were allowed to go back there at all, especially if you were carrying a gun.
Is
all right.
Is he the Pope?
Due to his wife's fears of what happened to
Chris Kyle. Oh, yeah.
All right. And so your one guest that was talking about that whole deal.
Yeah.
About how he didn't believe it. After he said that, I was like, okay.
So I should probably say this on the Antihero Podcast as well, and I will. I will say this, and this isn't me walking anything back. Matt Kubler said some things, but when you're a guest on my show, you have the mic. It's it's your opinion, mm-hmm. and if you want to put things out, like he doesn't believe that Chris Kyle was murdered the way they say it was. Is clearly what he had kind of insinuated, but not so thinly veiled. But to be honest with you, I haven't looked into that story. Yeah. If Matt believes it, and he's been right on some other things that people thought he was loony on, but he was right, and now things come to light. Matt's been right the whole time. If Matt believes that, there's probably reasons he believes that. I just don't know him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the same thing. When he said that, I was like, oh, that's
interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And,
so when he said that, my immediate thought was back to my original event in that, because I was like, oh, cool. It's going to be cool to meet this dude, Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, oh, you're not going to meet him. And I was in management, but I wasn't high enough in management to go back there because I wasn't. He was like, "Well, you can go back there, but you're not carrying a gun." The fuck, I'm not. Like, there's nothing that stops me unless it's a metal detector, bro. Yeah. And except for where I'm not legally for legal reasons. Legal reasons.
Fines.
And you know what looks bad about that at the end of the day is that it makes it look like, you know, like those politicians that you can't stand. That's like, hey, what's good for you isn't good for me, or what I can do you can't do. Like, it's a caste system. Like, I can carry a gun and be wherever I want to, but you can't. And it's a bad look, whether you meant it or not. At the end of the day, it's a bad look. But in that, what really swayed a lot of people's opinions and comments in the comment section is when Dietz's mom weighed in the comment section. And of course, we pinned that right at the top. And she was like, "Thank you so much for doing this." I'm not speaking bad of him. I'm just saying what Dietz's mom said. Like, he's always treated us poorly. She's questioned his story. Like, you gotta go to the very top, and you see Dietz's mom weighed in, and it says something. How can you think? Yeah. You can't run away from them and treat their family bad. That'll be a short.
Cut.
40 minutes, 39 seconds, Chris.
Yeah.
Go back.
Be sure you lead it with Delta Force says.
Just we gotta blowing up.
Gotta get that thumbnail text out, right?
Absolutely.
So. We'll transit. So the podcast is going well.
Podcast is just as fate would have it.
That can't beat the horse.
Just can't beat the horse. This can't beat the. I mean, you can, but
Ian's already knocking back down.
You can, but that's extra. I heard. Right,
for legal reasons.
Yeah.
Well,
there's another short right there.
It's not that I've been ungrateful for the success of the podcast. It's just the irony of putting so much attention and your own personal money and blood, sweat, and tears into FRCC, only to have the thing you kind of show up to
the side hustle.
The side hustle just take off on you, and it's gotta be like.
We should.
God, if I joke to you, are you messing with me?
We should have. We should be drinking. Funny. We should have all wore sunglasses. We should have all wore sunglasses when you came in. We all should have sunglasses on. You'd been like,
"Hey,
that's fucking good."
That's another thing. Tyler takes so much heat in the comments for the sunglasses. And he'll never. And you know what? I would think less of him if he ever paid attention and took them off. Yeah. I love that he sticks to his guns.
Yeah.
So Tyler's very punk rock. He's very punk rock. Like that's how he lives his life, and to his credit, he does. And it's a bold maneuver on him to some of the subjects we talk about. Like we talk about George Floyd, and he's an active duty sheriff deputy.
I just listened to that episode, and I was like, that's pretty ballsy.
And there's some things that I know what his opinion is, and he'd be like, I'm not going to weigh in on that because he can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'll say it for you. Heck, I know exactly the latest one to do it. We always do a hero of the week, and then what we used to call dumbass cop of the week. But we quit calling it that because we learned some more of those stories. And then here we are being the media that we hate, where you see a story and you assume the worst in the cop, and you hear the rest of that story and you're like, ooh, that wasn't the full story. Like it looked bad in that clip. So now we call it what the hell happened. So now we just call it so it gives us some wiggle room, to find out more. Yeah. And he goes, well, I'm not going to call it hero of the week. We're just going to recognize this cop. And it was a pedophile who had shown up to an ICAC, an Internet Crimes Against Children sting, and armed officers open the door.
Oh, is that the one where
Seattle?
And the guy goes right for his gun. They get into a struggle, and they both empty 2 clips on him. And so he goes,
they did some work that.
Gosh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Yeah. And he goes, so I can't call him hero of the week. I just want to recognize these guys' work. And I was like, well, then I'll say it. Heroes of the week, bar done. But those are things like and legitimately, it's just the culture we're in. Yeah. Now, how crazy is that? A cop can't say a pedophile deserved about 39 mil rounds in him.
Yeah.
We all agree on that. But that's the world we live in.
I saw one comment. It was like, this is the only officer involved shooting that you'll see where there's not a bunch of dudes talking about the crossfire. In the comment, just fucking let him have it. Dude's like checking himself. Like
they got like all three your body cam angles on.
Oh yeah,
like
it was beautiful. Like it really was. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like this.
But watching the clip, I mean, like the dude goes straight for the gun. Like they open the door. He's like, oh shit.
He was
reaches into like
he was ready to go.
I talked about that with someone else who had a different point of view on it. And I was like, that's a really good point of view. If he's showing up already willing to be a pedophile and do unspeakable things to these underage girls, and he's showing up armed, what else was he willing to do?
That's immediately where my mind went. Like,
like
he was armed, he was going for it. Like he knew where it was. Like he was ready for that gun.
He already had his hand on it.
Yeah,
right.
That's a preemptive already in the draw stroke. Okay, if I open up the door and it's a cop, I'm pulling the gun. Right. Like he had already made that decision.
So he only brought it for two reasons: either to do something more to those girls to make sure they didn't talk afterwards, or he was scared that that was a sting. But how crazy is that? Is that if you think it's a sting,
he's gonna fight with the cops,
and you show up anyway, like this may be a sting, and you still want it so much you show up.
Yeah,
like that's so either way to either answer to that is crazy, and it's even more justifiable that they let that dude have it.
Yeah. Are y'all is the Little Rock ATF shooting on y'all's radar?
I don't. If you tell me about it, I'm
where the ATF shot and killed the director of security or something for the Little Rock Airport.
No, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I mean it was just a few weeks ago.
Oh no,
yeah,
I remember that.
Like
I must have missed that.
There's the clip of them covering the I understand why.
Oh,
they covered the Ring camera. They did a no knock at like 6 a.m. and got in a shootout with him.
Okay,
he wounded 2 ATF agents. They shot and killed. I mean, he died like 2 days later, but they shot and killed him right there.
Yeah,
but dude was selling guns for profit.
Yeah,
whatever that means to the ATF since they've made the new rule.
Right.
But that's going to be an interesting one to see how that.
We'll look into that
out because now I saw a post today that now none of them were wearing body cameras like they're supposed to be. Like it just
the ATF isn't doing themselves any favors, and that's the worst. I know someone's gonna. I shouldn't even preface this like people are going to flame as if I care about the comments, but I already know what's going to happen.
I mean, I'm already going to cut it into a short, so it sounds
please do
bad.
Please do. Yeah, I'm just not. I feel like I'm a pretty middle of the road guy. Although I say that, apparently I'm more right wing and my right wing. And that's not because it's because the left has moved so far left. Like we used to be more middle of the road.
Yeah.
You went left and I stayed right here. But I'm not anti-ATF. I do question the ATF, and I think everything should be questioned. And then I would like to assume that the ATF will do good things and prove to the people why they belong. But
it's not helping them.
But they don't, and they're not helping my open-mindedness, and they're not helping.
Guys, you're making me look bad here.
That's right,
track record doesn't.
That's right. They're trying, and I was like, oh, there's just another reason that like I don't. And there's a good argument, like, and which is true, like, and these are good. Why does the ATF exist? Like, either the FDA falls under some of them, police work, falls under the rest of it. Like, what? Why? And it's a good question. I don't know why you think their workload is so much that state, federal, and local law enforcement that already exists can't consume their workload.
Yeah,
it's a good question. Yeah, I'm not against it.
You had the ATF agent on the show too, didn't you?
Yeah,
listen to that.
Yeah, we did a Fast and Furious.
Yeah, that was a good
podcast from an ATF agent, and he was a whistleblower. Like, he was very upfront and honest. Like, we just screwed it up, boys.
Yeah, and he like that was an interesting story to see why he transferred from like New York to ATF because he was like, New York's not doing shit with these dudes, so I'm going to do something with the agency that is doing with the criminals. And then, but the easiest job, and I've said it before, that the best job in social media is the dude who runs the ATF Instagram. Because it doesn't matter what he fucking posts, dude. It does not matter what he posts. It's absolutely
like everybody
are on the comments just fucking murder him just every day. Like
just murdering the content.
You want to know who I felt the worst for? About 2 years ago at SHOT Show, they had just come out with the pistol brace ban.
Yeah.
And ATF has agents at a booth at SHOT Show. And oh my gosh, those two poor guys who had nothing to do with that
gets absolutely roasted for a week at SHOT Show.
Yeah, the 5 days of just
oh my gosh,
go back to the hotel room every night. Just like,
sit in the shower.
Yeah.
I mean, they could post that, you know, like they did so much for like all these, like, you know, we donated $50 million to Toys with Ties. Like, are you making up for all the children you killed? You know, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
But again, is that they've dug their own hole. So it's hard to feel bad for them. I don't know. I'm sure there's good guys in the ATF.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's good guys in the ATF.
We've got a couple buddies that retired from them. They're good dudes, man. Good dudes.
Yeah. But like a lot of them, I think there's good guys that are FBI agents. But there's something going on at the upper echelon of these federal agencies that are just like, I said I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm generally not. But there's something indisputable going on at the higher echelon of these federal agencies where they have weaponized and politicized these agencies. And it's not right. Like there's just too much data out there now to really feel any other way.
I mean, just look at what's happened during 2020 and 2021 of all the people they put out because they wouldn't take a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, massive purges of all government agencies and companies, corporations, as we get into this, that if you didn't take the shot, you know, you had to leave.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of the episodes we're looking at covering, which is COVID, and what's the data on COVID? It's crazy. COVID's just forgotten about. Like the vaccines weren't effective.
They killed a lot of people.
Yeah,
killing a lot of people still.
They killed a bunch of healthy people.
Yeah,
you know. In Fort Bragg, one of our family friends who's a nurse at the Womack hospital there is like, we've had more guys come in with heart conditions and more heart attacks on healthy young men than we've ever had. They're off the charts. And we were like, you think that has to do with the COVID vaccine? Like, oh no, we can't. No. You can't ask that question. Like no one's going to look into those statistics. Like they don't want to because it doesn't fit the narrative. Well, I got a problem with that. Like we used to say, and the other side, whatever you want to call them, loves to say, trust the science. Trust the science. You have to trust it. If you don't trust the science, you're some weirdo. Well, you don't even want to look into the science. Like, how am I supposed to trust science if you won't even go grab the data points?
Yeah,
like, it's crazy.
Trust it only when it's convenient. For the agenda that you want.
Absolutely. You get me worked up.
The stuff that they got away with, and my wife in the industry she's in, she's a very smart lady, way smarter than me, and she's like, we're not taking it, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
This is if these are the blocks that I have to do to make sure that I don't have to take it and my family doesn't have to take it.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going down, and she's sitting in the boardroom of a multi-billion-dollar company, and they're talking about making their employees that didn't take the shot wear identification that they didn't take. And she's like, are you serious? You cannot do that.
Sounds
like,
very Nazi-ish.
Like, should it be like a yellow star on their badge?
Yeah.
But like, she came home crying because they wouldn't let her go do a food pantry. They were going, like, it's Christmas time. The company all does all these outreach programs, right? And they're like, oh, if you're not vaccinated, you can't go to this because you're a liability. It's just like,
well, let's hit the other hot topic if we're going to talk about masks. You know, Florida, we pretty much didn't believe in masks and down in Florida. And we got hammered for it, on social media and by other politicians that were overly masked. And if you look at the graphs as month, Florida had higher, deadlier months than others. But we fall along the same graph as when the whole country had a deadlier month, so did Florida. when the whole country had, it kind of went down for a little bit, so did Florida. Our maskless state had the same exact results as the rest of the country did. Yeah. And so back to trust the science. Well, you don't want to trust the science because masks don't work, but it's just like, it's just some way to show that you believe in the cause. Like it became some sort of badge of honor.
That's exactly what it became. Like it was like you could tell it was somebody aligned politically because it was like, it wasn't, they weren't doing it. It was just like to show your affiliation with a certain group.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how it was, or at least what I observed here in Texas in our local area.
Oh yeah.
Like
and
that's.
And since masks have become kind of uncool now, I believe they replaced masks with short blue-haired women. It's the new mask.
We even had like the county lines. It was down to counties here because like Montgomery County, where we're at, very, very right wing, very Republican.
Right.
And then, across the bridge, Harris County, very, very Democrat. So there's like differences in what you can get away with in what county. Like,
Montgomery County on the side of 45 has a huge billboard and says, "Criminals, welcome to Montgomery County.
We do prosecute.
We arrest here. Like we prosecute here.
Like you cross the creek and it's there.
Yeah. Nice. That's great. But what's crazy is that a billboard like 20 years ago, a billboard like that would be a waste of money. Everyone looking at me like, yeah, of course you prosecute criminals. Why wouldn't you? That's a waste of money. But now you have to tell people that, hey, we enforce the law here.
Yeah,
it's the times we live in.
So what do you got coming up, man?
This is our busy season. So this is our busy season with shows. Whether it be we went to Indiana SWAT Association convention. We came here. There's some fire department conventions we go to.
FDIC.
We haven't been. FDIC is the biggest one. We will go to that one next year. We haven't been to FDIC yet. Out of Indianapolis every year. OTOA is coming up, then it takes a little bit longer for the rest of the year. NTOA and SWAT Roundup, so those are all big shows that we love going to. One of the biggest reasons why I love going to them is last year that was basically all of the first time of us going to all those shows. So this is the first time as a newly revamped company. We've revamped our logos, our bags, we have a bourbon infused whiskey. Bourbon infused pecan flavored coffee. Now we have cigars. We're just a whole different company than we showed up last year, and to get to see the difference in the numbers of our sales numbers, how much growth we've had over this year. So it's really cool to go visit things, a second time and see how much you've grown. So we have that. We have some really cool Antihero Podcast episodes coming up, and some that just take a lot of work and research to do right. So it's hard to say when those will come out, but we're really excited about some of.
Can you give any teasers on the topics?
What's that?
If you want to keep that,
something I can preferably cut into a short and then use for my own benefit.
I've already teased it a little bit. I'll just say, hey, don't worry, SEALs. You're not the only ones. There are other special operation guys out there that haven't been totally true about what they did in the military. But like I said, but to do it right and not just to go out there and be like, trust me, bro. Like that's like it's hard.
You got to have some kind.
You got to have something.
Yeah.
So it takes a while. So yeah, it's just gonna be busy, and in a good way. It's like I said, it's been really good. It's been with FRCC, like that year and almost year and a half of hustle is finally starting to show results from it, and with the Antihero Podcast, that 6 months of not caring about it is finally turning into something that's not true. So I put the same amount of energy and effort into it because you're proud of your name, and where you came from. So you don't want to half-ass anything. With my background, people expect a certain thing, but just more hustle. And I'm looking forward to the growth, to be honest with you.
And so, where can our listeners and viewers find you at?
So the Antihero Podcast, just that, the _Antihero _podcast on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel. You can check out the podcast on visual on YouTube, but you can hear the audible part of it on iTunes, Spotify. All the big ones carry it. And with the company, FRCcoffee.com takes you to the website. We do coffee, we do cigars, and portions of all of our sales will go back to.
And again, that's sales, not profit.
That's right. That's sales, not
Coming
profit.
off the top line.
Because if it was profits, people would owe me money because we haven't turned a profit yet. But the exciting news is we're getting to. I never thought I'd be so excited to. We're almost about. And that maybe this month, to be honest with you, where we break even as a company.
Congratulations.
And so it'll be the first month that I don't lose money. So in a weird way, I'm super happy about working a full-time job and making zero. Like this may be the first time I make nothing, and we're super excited about it.
That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming up, talking to us. Thanks for putting out the podcast, because I've definitely enjoyed it the last few weeks after I found it. We all have.
Everyone's been binge listening, watching.
Well, and thanks for doing what you're doing, man.
Absolutely. Well, the pressure's on to continue quality content, so you guys can keep binge watching.
Yeah, for sure. Like, hey, we need a new episode.
I'll go back and tell Tyler, hey, we can't let Texas down. We got to keep going.
Yeah. And if you've listened to this podcast up until this point, drop a comment. I won't read it. I don't read them. Subscribe to our newsletter. Follow us. You know where we're at. If you've listened to us this far, you might be new. I've posted the short that Delta Force operator calls out Navy SEALs. And we appreciate you listening, and we appreciate your time. And you got anything for the people?
Drink coffee and smoke cigars.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
I can get behind that message. Yeah. I'm about to go do half of that right now.
Yeah. I drink a lot of water, so I got to go pee. So good night, fellas.